My name's Lola Taylor, and I'm the District Special Ed Consultant for Perry County Schools. Today we're going to be talking about the role of the paraeducator in assisting students, and I'm just going to do an overview of kind of what and how our procedures work with our paraeducators in our district. Every district's different, but how they do the procedures, we're not saying that's wrong. How they hire their paraeducators and their duties that they assign you, it's not wrong. It's how they, they prefer to do it. Every district's a little different. I'm not up here saying our district's perfect with hiring and, getting people and all that. I'm not saying that either, by no means. I'm just saying that's what we kind of look for. That's what we kind of expect out of our paraeducators and their roles in our district. Which a lot of it, is going to apply to everybody's district with the student being the main focus. So. But I'll go ahead, and this is kind of an overview of us creating an environment that's conducive to the student learning, conducive to a positive work environment. We expect, and we do have paraeducators in our district that performs in a variety of settings, and I know you all probably do and not, you all probably do in Floyd. We have some that does one-on-one assistance, we have some small group, we have some whole class that's assigned to a teacher. Of course, one-on-one setting is dependent upon what the IEP says, and it's a committee decision based upon the need of the student. But we have alternative classrooms, we have alternative resource classroom, which is like a unit, MSD units, as some of them refers to. And then, like I said, some's just assigned to a whole class or to a teacher, like a kindergarten class or first grade, whatever it may be. We have approximately 65 special ed paraeducators in our district, and they work in a variety of settings, if either it's one-on-one or in that alternate resource curriculum environment or the MSD units that I told you about, helping and assisting students with special needs. Is anybody in here just a special ed paraeducator? All you all are, okay, got a couple. Any one-on-one paraeducators? As just one-on-one, helps a student.
I don't know what you'd consider us, we work in a unit.
Yeah. Okay, so you're kind of like a small group kind of setting. You don't have you're not assigned to like one specific student, right? You just help kind of in that unit setting.
I know.
Okay.
I have.
How we travel.
You just have that one-on-one?
Well, I have two, I take.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. We remind our administrators that, special ed paraeducators is paid with IDOB money, which is federal money that, you have to be careful about when the audits come around financially and everything. You gotta give account of what their duties are gonna be doing that involves the special needs or whatever. So, if you're paid out of IDOB money, we kind of remind our administrators, hey, make sure they're working with special need kids because they're paid out of IDOB money. I know there's occasions that, flu B is going to hit the schools. COVID, came around, the pandemic a couple years ago. Everybody was in a new environment, learning situation. I know things are going to happen, to where one day you might have to go and you might have to cover, or you might have to help when you normally don't supposed to go. That happens. We understand that we have to give and take those situations, but pretty much on a routine basis, you're working, if you're paid with IDB money, you're working with special needs students. Attendance is very important because if you're not there, we don't have a sub for you. It's hard now to find subs just for, for the regular teachers, along, paraeducators. I mean, we've got positions now, I don't even know if they've been filled right now with openings and positions, and it's hard. I don't know if it's in your all's districts too, but it's hard in ours, just finding people to work, period. So with that being said, try to be at work every day that you can be. It's very important, because if you're working with, even in a unit setting, as you said, alternative curriculum, resource room, or whatever you may be working on or working in, those kids are consistently getting used to a schedule, and they're consistently getting used to you, and you're getting used to them. And when you miss, it throws everybody off. And sometimes coverage, like I said, is impossible because we can't find positions right now to fill full-time, let alone subbing. So it makes it hard. So just try to be at work every day that you can. I try to come every day I can, even when I don't feel like it, because like I said, one wheel can change the whole rotation. So we try to do what we can to make sure our staff tries to be there consistent. Now there's going to be, like I said, emergencies with that too, to where you're going to have a death in the family, you're going to have sickness that can't be helped, and we understand that. Confidentiality is a must. I know Regina and Cindy probably take it serious, just as Mr. Caldwell does, with their confidentiality. You gotta be careful. You know, you're working in the public, you're involving children, you're involving, families and their children. When you're out in public, like Walmart, Food City, you don't need to be discussing, well, this is what Johnny did today when I had him in class, or, Johnny and Billy, they got to this argument and they were saying this, and you just gotta be careful, because you never know when somebody's listening and you're dealing with the confidentiality of students. Gotta be careful with that. No time for gossiping. We tell our staff, if you got time to start fires, then you probably don't have enough time in your schedule. You need some more duties. I need to assign you some more duties for your time. So, try not to gossip, because sometimes Mr. Caldwell will get a call that he has to deal with of people going out spreading stuff and talking about things they shouldn't be talking about. So if you got time to do that, he always says you need more duties. You don't have enough to do. So no time for gossiping. Assist a student, not complete the whole task for the student. Sometimes we tend, especially if we're working with one-on-one, sometimes we tend to go overboard with our duties and trying to help, and sometimes we can help too much if they don't need that help. Sometimes they get dependent on us, and sometimes it can make it worse. Now, don't get me wrong, if they medically need that, or, something like that, that's different. I'm not saying not help the kid, it's just we gotta be careful, because sometimes, especially the younger ones, the more we tend to help, the more they tend to want us to help, instead of them doing it independent, if they can. Then that's if they can. I'll stress that. What are the roles and characteristics of the paraeducator? These are just some of the duties that you all may hear tell of as we compare to our district. Like I said, some districts are a little different, some it carries through and they're about the same. Complete assignments given by the certified classroom teacher. I know you no doubt probably have good communication with that certified teacher. They no doubt tell you, hey, this is your schedule, this is what I need you to do. If it's escorting kids to transition in classes, or if it's, assisting kids to lunch or helping them with their lunch tray, whatever, no doubt they've got a schedule for you and some roles that you need to do throughout the day in order to get everything done. So, follow complete assignments and complete safe crisis management training. How many's had that training? The SEM training. Okay. I know we give it to all of our staff in our district that wants it. Not all of our staff is fully SEM certified. We have some administrators call and say, hey, I want all my staff given the SEM theory or the SEM de-escalation technique part of it, which is the beginning of it, the paper part. So we're like, sure. So we'll send our trainers out there. They give them that first part. They check just the first part off. They don't do the restraint sessions. And then they check it on their certificate. On the back of your certificate, they'll write what you've been trained in. That'd be your liability. Now, I'm not saying go out and restrain a kid when you're not got that checked out in your certificate. What I'm saying is, you just do what you're required to do. Now, we have some staff that's fully SEM certified, meaning they can restrain whatever need to be. But some are, the majority of our staff, regular ed and special ed, are SEM theory certified only, which helps with some de-escalation techniques in the classroom. Trying to prevent that restraining portion that comes along when it gets out of the roof that the kid can no longer maintain. We try to provide some techniques that, for all of our staff that can kind of prevent that if need be. I know sometimes it can't be prevented, but that's our goal anyway, is to try to do that. We have some staff, what we call grandfathered in, that's been around and they can't technically do the physical restraint side of it, but they get the theory. So we let them do the portions that they can do, and of course, make sure you stay within that liability issue, what you're certified to do and been trained. Meet deadlines when they exist. Deadlines means if you, I don't know, have you got ASOP on your all submitting your time? Is it online, anything like that with your districts? We use an online system called ASOP with our district, and that means you clock in and out with your name badge, but then every 2 weeks, there's a portion where you guys submit your time. They call it, submit your time sheet, and you do it online. So meeting the deadline would be an example of that for us, with the staff meeting their deadline of submitting their time every 2 weeks, so for payroll. So some staff forget to do that, or some staff just, oh, I don't know why I have to do it. Well, it's just part of our payroll system, so we have to remind them to do that, or the administrator has to remind them to do that. Got staff that needs to submit time. So that's the meeting the deadline portion of when we refer into that. Assist students to regular classroom settings, include bathroom, lunch. I know some of you said some students in the other sessions, the class in the other sessions said they had students that, needed to go to just the lunch or the restroom or to certain classes throughout the day, math, science, whatever it may be, and they escort them. Sometimes they have to stay with them, making sure that the students are where they need to be and they're receiving services. Assist with medical issues if they need to. I know some requires more attention with the medical needs such as toiletry, and some feeding needs. Some has feeding tubes. We do have some students that have feeding tubes that where staff would have to make sure they have health care aid training in order to do that. And some of our regular ed teachers has that as well for like field trips or whatever they need to go with the kids on. But making sure that we have that helps because, once again, that's servicing the students' needs. Demonstrates the care and use of equipment and supplies. I know there's some students that gets assistive technology, iPad, whatever it may be, and sometimes, the paraeducator will carry that with them. Just making sure that, you're taking care of that equipment just like it was yours at your house or whatever it may need to do in order to fulfill, taking care of that supply. Follows a chain of command with issues in the classroom. Most of the time we refer to our administrators in the building to get involved in situations with staff because they know their building. We're not there every day, although I would like to be there every day. Sometimes we come, but we don't stay all day. We don't know your situation. Occasionally, we would get a phone call from a paraeducator wanting to know why this happened and this happened, and we always have to refer back to the administrator or the teacher. We ask, did your administrator know about this? Did you tell your administrator? Did you tell your teacher, your working teacher? Sometimes they'll say no, and then we always have to refer back, once again, to the administrator and the teacher because they're there with you all the time. So pretty much we tell them now, make sure you're telling your administrator or your teacher in your building. Do you all have any situations where you had to involve your administrator or teacher? Any situations to where you had to call like central office or anything like that to help? Or that's good. We just tell them to follow the chain of command because, like I said, we're not there all the time, and we always have to revolve back to the administrator or the teacher to kind of help with that. Follows daily schedules set forth by the classroom teacher. Like I said, most likely you're going to get a schedule. So most likely you'll have your schedule that prior to that first day of school where you'll know where you need to be. Do any of you do like a morning duty or anything?
Sometimes. A lot of evening duty.
There's some in the other session that said they had evening and morning duty, or morning duty, should I say.
Lunchroom. They meet
Lunchroom
when
duty. Recess, yeah. So when I don't know what size of school that you all have, but sometimes when you got the short staff or whatever, limited staff, you need others to kind of fill in, but I don't know what your staffing is there. But you'll have a daily schedule, and if you're doing that morning duty or evening duty or recess duty, lunch duty, whatever it may be, you'll have that on there. Of course, you'll know to report. Understands the value of teamwork. It's very important. Most likely you're going to be working with somebody day in and day out as another staff member that's going to be with you, working day in and day out, and together you're going to have to communicate. You're going to have to work for the betterment of the student. You're going to have to make sure the student's serviced, and working and being compliant with them, and just, you know, being positive every day kind of helps the situation rather than make it worse. So you're going to have that teamwork. It's complete and thorough paperwork. You may have to write down classroom observation logs. I mean, if you've got a student that has a behavior intervention plan and you're down as support staff, or you have an IEP and inside the IEP it says support staff is progress monitoring or doing an assignment with the kid, it may ask you anecdotal to write down, you know, how the kid done that day. Or you may be doing a student contract with PBIS where it's check in and check out, and you may be a check in and check out person, and you might have to write down how that student done during that period. You never know. Just be thorough, and, you know, whatever paperwork you have to fulfill, just get it done. Is punctual and regular attendance. Once again, attendance is stressed because, like I said before, it's hard to fulfill a job opening as it is right now, but then when you have a person that just hit or miss, it even makes it harder because the kid gets adjusted, the teacher gets adjusted, and then they're off track when you miss, or vice versa. You may have a teacher in your class, you know, that you're working with that misses a lot, and it makes it hard because you've got to most likely fill up and take over the gauntlet for that. Operates within established policy guidelines, which you would follow your, you know, your district policies for that. Deals with coworkers and the public tactfully, approaches assignments in a positive, is dependable, controls student behavior effectively, understand that confidentiality is a must, and educational talk with parents is left to the teacher. You know, if there's anything about progress monitoring or how they done on KSA or anything like that, report card, science grade, anything like that, I would refer to my teacher that's in my classroom for that, to kind of confer with the parent with that. The main focus, like I said earlier, is working as a team to best serve our teachers. Like I said, most likely you're going to be working with a paraeducator or another paraeducator, or you might be working with another teacher in the classroom day to day. So it's best if you work as a team, everybody's on the same page. I started out, I was a paraeducator for a while in Knott County, and then I moved to Perry County, and then I was a special ed teacher for 19 years, and then assistant principal for 2, and then I become the consultant for the district for the last 4 years. So I've been in a realm of situations, and I try not to never forget where you're sitting. It's easy for me to stand here today, but I was where you are, and then I worked my way up to where I am today. So I don't ever want to forget that. I've been there, and I appreciate you all because you all work hard every day, and it takes a whole team to make it happen. It doesn't take just one person. It takes everybody working together, and everybody is an important part of the school. Janitor, cook, whoever it may be, everybody's important, and that's the way I see it. Everybody working together, just to, you know, we love our kids, and servicing our kids is the main goal, and that's what I know all districts would have that as the main goal. So the common team purpose would be servicing our students, and qualities of a good team. Of course, communication would be right at the top. You know, you have to communicate on a daily basis with people in your school. You know, you have to make occasionally, and some people, I know we said parent educational talk with parents should be limited with you all, but you know, there are occasions like you're going to have a nonverbal student that the parent's going to ask you questions, and you're out there at pickup every afternoon. You know, there's gonna be certain situations to where you're gonna have to, I'm not saying don't talk to parents. I mean, there's gonna be certain situations where you're gonna have to talk to a parent. You can't ignore them. But if it's like, well, is Johnny gonna pass to the next grade level or something like that, any in-depth conversation dealing with educational purposes or progress or whatever, I would refer to the teacher on that. But I know you're gonna have those conversations with parents depending on, you know, the severity of your student. Because if you have a nonverbal student, you know, if I was a parent of if my child was nonverbal, I would most definitely want to have that relationship with the paraeducator as well, knowing my kid's safe, knowing, you know, that they're in good hands, and we've built that relationship with one another. Respect, you know, having respect, treating everyone with respect. Flexibility, like I said, how many's had to cover a classroom before that you're not supposed to be in? I mean, how many's had to, you know, run and do this and do that with paperwork, or had to go copy something? I mean, like I said, occasionally, you know, it's gonna happen. You're gonna have like flu B go around, everybody's gonna be out, like, you know, third, fourth grade teacher's gonna be missing. You're gonna have to cover, they're gonna have to come to you. I was the assistant principal at one point that had to come to you and say, hey, can you cover, or can you be here and work here for 30 minutes and go back? Or I would have to be that person at times because we would be short staffed, and, you know, we'd have a lot of people out. I understand, I've been at both sides of the spectrum, and then I've been that person that I've had to go do that. Just like right now, Mr. Caldwell's supposed to be here with me. He'd get caught over there. He's supposed to be talking. Actually, it's got my name down on this session, but he's been talking, but I'm talking. So we gotta be flexible today. So, but I've been that person, I've been where you've been, and so you have to be flexible. And sometimes we hear, oh, this isn't my job. That's not my job. But sometimes we have to go above our job and get it done. So, but keep an open mind, work hard every day, be dependable, be at work every day. And I'm pretty sure that you survived that day, didn't you? That you had to, that you didn't like it, no doubt, but you had to go do it.
We all survived.
Yep, we all survived and we moved on, right? So, yeah, and that's what it takes. Sometimes that's what happens. What's my job? What's not my job? Whose job is it? Once again, it goes back with sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do at times in order to get by. Teacher's role. Now, these are some of what the teacher does, and like I said, it's not all that a teacher does from day to day, and it's not all what you're going to do from day to day. And I'm not trying to say that all of this is in a nutshell and that's it. That's not true. These are just realms of things that can occur and can, you know, that you're going to see, qualities and so forth. Identify and meet the learning needs of all students. Plan lessons, that would be on the teacher side. Although you might have had to plan a lesson and you might have had to teach that lesson for one day because of that flexibility that you had to do while the teacher's out. I get that. Evaluate the effectiveness of the instruction, communicate, manage, create, and model. And then the teacher's role to the paraeducator, if you've got a teacher in there working with you, you know, making sure that you're training all areas. I mean, some gets that SEM, like I said, theory only side. They say, hey, I can't do the restraint. No problem, we'll give you that theory side. We'll check you off on your stick just for the theory. You can't restrain though, of course, but, you know, check you off for that de-escalation part. Some of them can do the full training. Some wants to attend other conferences in our district, such as KVEC, like today. There's other conferences like the Summer Institute that's for paraeducators. Sometimes KVEC offers that. Additional training. Before school starts the fall, they offer that, you know, additional training for paraeducators. Some of our paraeducators want to go to that. That's fine. You know, providing extra training, getting you all well aware of the new techniques or strategies that you might can use. We're all for that. Planning paraeducator assignments. The teacher may have a voice in that. Sometimes the administrators do that, depending on their schedules, because they now have a master schedule. Sometimes the teacher, you know, has an input on that. Directing, monitoring, assisting, day-to-day performance, communicating, offering encouragement, and it goes on and on. Paraeducators assist teachers in achieving the learning goals for students. And then that's special education paraeducator's role. That's some of the things that you would be doing: follow, provide, maintain, respect, and work. Model, promote, respect. And then not your role, be attached to the hip of a student unless medically necessary. Do you feel like that you should be over top of a student 24/7 if they can do the work or if they can do certain parts of the work? Some paraeducators are too inclusive with the student, and right over top of them, not letting them do anything independently when they can. Now, I'm not saying if it's medically impossible, that's different. You know, if the kid has a issue or something like that that they can't, it's different. But if they can do something on their own independently, I would push for that as much as possible. Not to communicate for the student. If you're in first grade classroom and Johnny needs crayons off of Billy, you don't need to say, hey Billy, give Johnny some crayons, let Johnny ask Billy for crayons. It's letting him communicate, building that respect, rapport with his classmates, learning that socialization that he needs to learn instead of you being a voice for the student constant. Now if he's nonverbal or if he needs pictures or something to communicate, that's a little different. You can assist, with what you need to do there. I'm talking about a student just needing crayons and they can talk and they can, communicate. Not doing all the work for the student. Not running errands for someone else. Been in the classroom, hey, can you make a copy of this for me? You get back, can you make a copy? Can you go call? Can you go tell the nurse? Can you do this and this? Constant. Every so often it's fine, I get that. But after a while you get kind of agitated with it when you have to be constantly doing it. I know sometimes it's necessary, but other times pre-planning or pre-prep might help a little bit with that. I know there's emergency situations that occur and, it's unpreventable and you can't do, get prepped for that, obviously. But some of this pre-planning can be, solved with the running. Not to write an IEP. Be careful. I would leave the IEP writing and the 504 writing, whatever plans, PSP plans, if you got any ELL students, I would leave all that to the certified or the regular ed teacher. I would they put support staff down, I wouldn't care to monitor if they tell me to, but if they don't, then I would not write anything out. Don't communicate with the parent. Now, I'm not saying not to have a friendly gesture, walking outside with the kid every day, or how did Johnny do? I mean, you can be honest with the parent, stuff like that. Having that rapport with the parent is good. But like I said, is Johnny going to be held back? Is Johnny passing? What do I need to do? All that I would refer to your regular ed teacher. Not to be on the phone or having other conversations in class. Now, I know there's a time that these are real handy, and then there are other times that they can hinder us. I'm not saying on emergency purposes at all that you shouldn't be on your phone, because if you've got a doctor calling at 1 o'clock in the day, you might want to go to your teacher, your supervisor, say, hey, I've got to take this call at 1 if it's okay. It's something important. If you got a parent sick, or if you got a child sick, or your husband sick, whatever it may be, that's a different situation. But sometimes when I go into the classrooms here to check on staff, and when you're sharing a room with the teacher, or there's a couple other paraeducators in there, whatever it may be, and I'm seeing one on the phone the whole time, and then one's up doing their job. Although you're doing your job, it still impacts your duties because of the fact they're not doing theirs, and you're having to pick up the slack and doing both of them. Or vice versa, the teacher may be on their phone, and you're having to do all the duties. It kind of gets a bad outlook on them as well because they're on their phones. So I've seen it happens. Just kind of restrict yourself from doing it during instructional time, because at the end of the day, we're there to service the kid. And that's the main important reason we're there. And I understand that, sometimes things happen, you've got to take that call, you got to text, you got to do whatever. I get that. But to kind of restrict it to where it's not instructional time on your break or whatever that you get to take that call, or to, text or whatever it may be. Paraeducator, some of you may not be strictly paraeducator in here, but, I mean, as far as special education involvement, but fall teachers usually assist in collecting data. Like I said, if you're doing a behavior intervention plan and you have to document certain behaviors that the teacher told you to do, you know, make sure you're doing that. Or if it's monitoring, if it says support staff on an IEP, you're monitoring that IEP as per the teacher told you to do. Communicate challenges, opportunities, experiences. Be flexible, go with the flow. And engage learners in activities, ask for clarification, ask for training. If I don't know something, I'll just ask. There's a lot of things I don't know and I have to ask. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you, hey, I don't know that, I'll find it out and I'll get back with you. Don't claim to know it all, don't claim to do any of that, but if I have a question, I will ask, and if I don't know it, I will let you tell you that I don't know it and I'll find out the answer, so.